Alright, so usually I take a couple of hours to kind of decompress and get my thoughts together before I make a race review, but this one I feel like I just have to record now because there's some passion, there's some fire in my eyes for once, so there's a lot to talk about. So we'll first go over the truck race. It was average. I never thought it was, setting the world on fire, but it was a very above average truck race. I mean, it kind of got shit showy at the end, so it kind of knocks it down a peg. But I'm not a fan that a cup guy won because there's no point of him being there, and it doesn't matter if they run that race because it's a historic track. It doesn't matter. It's still gonna be bad. It doesn't matter if they bring Walt Disney World Speedway back from the grave and like remake that and race there and a cup guy wins. I'm still gonna complain about it because it's still stupid, pointless, and bad. So GG to Ty Majeski. He got a win. He really should. He's the real winner because Bubba got second. Cup bleaches. It's a whole thing. But not bias, but just that annoyance aside, it was fine. It was like a 6 out of 10 type of race. It was just a little bit above average, and it was fine. I don't really have any real complaints about it, except for that one guy self-spinning. That was bad, but yeah. But let's talk about the Cup race. So, like usual, like every year, pretty much, the Open is the most interesting and entertaining part of the entire event because things happened. I mean, granted, it took Michael McDowell, a lap down car that had beef with Ty Gibbs, to run into him and cause problems. That basically brought the top three together, and so it's basically it's like that was really the only interesting thing. So that's like the only thing I can think of that saved that race because I think if McDowell never did that, then I think the top two would have made it in. So let's get the positive out of the way, right? Like I know that the title clickbaited people is baiting them in. They're gonna say things before I even get my opinion out, but let's start with the positives. One, the fact that this track made a comeback is unbelievable. Never imagined it in my wildest dreams. I always believed it had a shot, but I just never knew it was even going to be possible. And it's here. The logistics and how they did it, that is 10 out of 10. Great shit. I have no complaints with that. The people showed up to that race. It's good. Great stuff. Very, very proud and thankful that it's here. The other thing, it's better than Texas. I know that's not saying much, but that is really the only other positive I can even extrapolate for the actual main event. This was definitely better than the previous Texas races where it was cringy, annoying, the formats were goofy as shit. This was just a very stripped down, simple format, nothing complicated. If anyone's been watching for years, they would know how complicated and ridiculous the formats got, and everything from 2015 onwards. It was just a mess every year. This is very simple. One segment, 200 laps. Midway through the race, they have a yellow. Simple, understandable, easy to get through. I appreciate that. I think Dale Jr. came up with that. If so, then props to him because it's a very simple, understandable format, and that's fine. But in terms of the racing product, there's just nothing I can say that was good. It just wasn't. The truck race showed that it is a decent track. Now I know going in, I want to preface. I know going in, this track was never historically like insane. But I expected something, and there was just nothing. There was just nothing to talk about. I guess that's good that there's no drama, but in terms of the pure racing element, I guess I do have something to say. We had a yellow. Larson pitted, so he got like a speeding violation or some kind of penalty. Was at the back. It was going to be at the back anyways for pitting, and then he drove his way up through the field, got the lead. We had one singular green flag pass for the lead, and it was because Larson was off tire strategy from the rest of the field. And because of that, there was no yellow the rest of it. He won by like 10 seconds or 12. And, I thought, okay, that's the first segment. Larson was on a completely different strategy, so it makes sense that he would be insanely faster. Obviously, tire wear is a thing. But, yeah, he was just gone. And the second segment came around, and he just drove away, and then that was it. And there was nothing happening. throughout the field, it seemed like. Just 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 a whole bunch of nothing. And I don't even think it's the track. I don't want people twisting it, thinking that I'm blaming the track or the track's the problem. It's not the track. I just think it's these cars. These Gen 7 cars suck so much ass at the short tracks. And I had a feeling. I was saying this months in advance in live streams and other race reviews. I was worried about this All-Star race because the short track package sucks. And we're going to a short track. How is that going to work out? It worked out horribly. It was a disaster in terms of the racing element. I'm tempted to go back and watch the 1996 North Wilkesboro race. And I guarantee, if there's one green flag pass for the lead, or even two, the race will already be like 10 times better. I can't imagine it. If this is how it always was, then that's another tangent too I want to get into. This is an all-star race. The whole point of the all-star race is supposed to be a spectacle, supposed to be exciting. That's kind of why there was gimmicks, or like segments to break things up. Even the whole purpose of an all-star race is supposed to be exciting. This was not it. It failed miserably on that element. Just thinking of the whole point of the all-star race, that failed on a level. I would say, I can't say rivals Texas, but I mean, it's just like half a point better. But that's the bar. These Gen 7 cars are just an atrocity to race at with these short tracks. Dirty air was such a thing. No one could seem to pass. Suarez led the first 30-plus laps, and if Larson never took that tire strat, Suarez probably would have won. I don't know. Maybe Bubba would have eventually passed him. But just so little occurred. And if this was just a normal points-paying race, this would probably just be disappointing. And I would probably give it like a 4 or a 5. But for an all-star race, and this isn't me trying to have like higher expectations, but that is the fundamental design of the all-star race, is to be exciting. This failed on that. So I have to be a little more harsher, because that's the whole point of this. So yeah, this sucked. Even Bristol I thought was better, and that really wasn't much of anything, but that was better. That's the bar. That's the bar of all-star races that we're at with, and just again, the other thing too with these Gen 7 cars sucking, I just don't think they have enough horsepower. 670 does not cut it. If we go back to 2021, granted, I think the Gen 6 cars probably race better short tracks overall, but if you give them a little more horsepower, 750, get rid of the freaking diffusers on the back, I think right then and there, you're going to get a better race. Is it going to be like a million times better? No. But it will be better than that, because that was just a whole bunch of nothing. And the only reason I even give this better than Texas is there was no insane bullshit controversy of last year's, which was just an embarrassment, and just things just went from bad to worse, and that was just a nightmare. And the other year before that was just a whole bunch of nothing too. But, I mean, this sucked. I mean, this just was very disappointing. I really feel tempted to just go back and watch the 96 race, because it had to have been better than this. If this was how it always was, then why on earth would they even consider this to be why would they take this track and make it an all-star race? If this track is just historically, I mean, I've always known that a track was like this, but I thought maybe I had too much hype. I don't know. This is all like, I'm just kind of rambling, but I mean, there was just a whole bunch of nothing, and there's Twitter's such a cesspool of bullshit. I just don't get it. Brian Vargas always does straw man arguments of like, well, people complain there was too many yellows. Now there's not enough yellows. Where's the? It's just, I don't know. I guess I don't know. It's just no. I'm not asking for 20 yellows. I'm not asking for no yellows, but I'm expecting for racing to, like, things to happen. And it just, there wasn't. I mean, there was kind of some passing, maybe like on an 80 lap run we might finally start to see people pass or something, but by the time that happened, the segment or the race is already over almost. So it just was a whole bunch of nothing, and all of this was just a letdown. And it was basically everything I feared. Everything I fucking feared about this All-Star race being a thing at this particular track, and I was right. This was not the type of track to run an All-Star race on when this track has historically not been super exciting. And I don't think these cars help either, so that's another thing. It's just all this, it's so fucking heartbreaking. All this effort. All this for a race that's so mid that it kind of pisses me off. And I guess that's the point. I don't even know what to give this race a rating. I don't even know. Maybe a 3? Like, or a 2? It almost feels like the worst race of the year, and I almost feel insane to think that because it's so fucking depressing. Man, it's so amazing how just uneventful for an all-star race to be. I want to preface, that's the whole point of the all-star race, is to be exciting, and this was not it. It failed on that individual purpose. If this was a regular points race, maybe I would give it a little more, not much of a, maybe I would give it a 3 or a 4. I don't know, but I mean, this was just sad. All this effort, everything that took all this effort to bring back this track, and we have quite possibly like the worst car track combination imaginable. And now people are going to think that this track is just garbage when it's really the cars that are just the biggest flaw. I don't know. I'll go watch the 1996 race again or something, and it just, because it has to be better than that. There's no way it's going to be worse than that All-Star race where there was one green flag pass for the lead and then that was it. Because I don't think it's going to be that bad. Because those cars, it was a whole different generation of cars. Just a lot tougher to drive. Didn't have to shift, which I've heard things some people were shifting. I saw Harvick's in onboard camera, and he wasn't shifting. He was still keeping it in fourth. So I don't know if people were shifting or not. I don't know, but man, that just was disappointing. And like it says in the title, this was a complete failure in terms of just a racing product on track. Like, mainly the cars. The cars are the biggest problem, but like, this is going to give people the impression that this track is just trash, and that's not it. The truck race was fine. It was all right, which tells you more than enough that it's not the track. If the truck race was just as uneventful, then, you know, maybe I would have some, like, there would be like an argument, but man, this fucking sucked. Honestly, at this point with the Gen 7 cars and the 1.5 milers, I think Gen 7 would actually work better by bringing it back to Charlotte. That sounds insane, because everybody was saying to get rid of it. Get rid of the All-Star race at Charlotte because it sucked, and it did for a long time. But again, you give them like a horrible race car or an awful aero package, it's going to make any track look bad. It made Auto Club look bad. It made Atlanta look bad with the 550 package, for example. So I don't want to always blame the track. I mean, Texas is like one of the few examples where it's like, yeah, Texas is the track, and probably Phoenix too, are just examples of bad just track, and no package can save it. Well, nowadays, because I don't know, it was just disappointing. I'm not going to give this race a crazy rating just because it existed and they got there. Like, I'm purely reviewing the on-track product and what we got. I'm not going to sit here and give it like an 8 or a 9 out of 10 because they were able to get there. That's like me giving, I don't even know, that's like giving Top Gun Maverick like a 10 out of 10 because they made a sequel to it. Or like because like they made a film and therefore it already gets like an 8 out of 10. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But that's my thoughts. very, very disappointed and just very, very just dejected. Like, this was just such a shame. And everything I feared about this track car combination for this type of event went about as almost exactly like how I was fearing it was going to be. And I was being an optimist. I was being a Mr., trying to have hope and optimism. And also, that's another tangent too. Fans pick Gregson as like the fan vote. That's a disaster on human morality as a whole. People rather fan vote a person that sexually harassed people than Corey LaJoy, who, I mean, then again, Corey LaJoy is not much better, but I don't know. Humanity's screwed. NASCAR's doomed. I don't know. What a freaking day. I'm done. I don't know what to talk about. This video might get disliked as shit because of all the bias and just simps for the track, which, hey, you can simp the track as much as you want, but you're not going to tell me that on-track product was, like, amazing when we had one green flag pass for a lead and barely much of anything happened. And I'm not even talking about wrecks. There was one wreck, but that doesn't matter. 2016 Atlanta was like green like halfway through the race. And it was amazing. So clearly, it's not because of wrecks make race better. Just stupid. So that's my thoughts on the whole matter. I don't even know what to say. What do I fucking give this race? A 2? But I don't even know, because a 2 because Texas was so bad and there was no controversy. It was just a race. Tire wear was a thing, so because a 1 because it was better than Texas, and the other one was because tire wear was a thing, but it wasn't enough to do enough, I guess. I don't fucking know. I'm done. See you later.